If I try to go back before Croatia, my mind is blank. I don't even know what that timeline was. I don't even recall where I was, because this seems like almost like a jump up into something I've never experienced before. And all I can remember since coming here is an immense sense of gratitude. The first day we arrived, the look on Geraldine's face as she had tears in her eyes as we were parking the car in the driveway. And I just remember an immense sense of gratitude for all of you, to be honest, for each and every single one of you. And this literally feels surreal, and it feels like we're the luckiest people on earth to have been chosen for this timeline. I don't think anyone can choose this timeline on their own. This is a gift bestowed upon each and every one of us from the heavens. And then it started dawning on me that we're not just here for fun and play. We're here to serve. Every part of our life is service in this lifetime, in this timeline. Every single thing we do, whether it's on camera or not, it doesn't matter, because what we're doing here is sacred. Just by being in this joy, being in this laughter, being in this unconditional acceptance of exactly what needs to happen. Like if she needs to laugh, that's what needs to happen, because it's just an expression of joy. And this is going into the grids, and we're creating something that Earth has not tasted or smelled or touched in forever. Like, we've been so troubled by wars and separation that this is the biggest service for humanity, for us to come together, tear apart from our so-called families that really are dysfunctional families that don't have that depth of I'm here for you. It's more like I'm here for you if there's always some conditions. So we're tearing apart from that old paradigm, because we're all here because that old paradigm no longer resonates, and we're like, our souls are craving that unconditional love that we feel from this circle, and I have not seen anyone else who holds that frequency, and that's what brings me to my knees in gratitude. So thank you, all of you, for co-creating this with me.
What's coming up for you, Nicole?
So when Siman was talking about before Croatia, I was reminded of how before Croatia I felt stagnant and stuck and just kind of bored with life. Like, there has to be more than this. And I remember I was journaling about what I could do to get myself out of my stuck feeling, to kind of move myself forward. And some of the things that I wrote down were to travel to a new country, to quit my job, and many of the things on that list have since happened. And now that we're here, the first few days that we were here, I felt like I jumped like 7 timelines, like we were in heaven, and it felt more real, more full, more complete than I've maybe ever felt in my life. And it was almost like I was living on cloud 9, like everything was just magic and bliss. And then we moved into our apartment, me, Sistara, and Merlin, and it was kind of like a jolt to my system, like, okay, now we have to create this space again and kind of resettle in. And we did that, but at the same time, I still wasn't like fully settled in yet. And I got contacted from my family at home. And I felt obligated to pick up the phone and to talk to them and to take part in that conversation. And during the conversation, I started to feel my life force energy just being drained. And it's not personal to the people that I was talking to, but it almost felt like I was in this timeline. And then when I was communicating with this timeline from where I was, the location where I used to live, it was almost like a big shock, like I have this much energy and now try to fit yourself into this little box to have that conversation and to relate to where they're at and what they're doing. But the lesson for me came when I now reflected on that, and I shouldn't have subjected myself to that, to just continue to carry out the conversation and continue to let the energy drain when I knew that it was draining. So maybe next time, if I don't want to pick up the phone, I don't have to do anything. I don't owe anyone anything. And that's kind of the theme that's coming up for me, is like being so authentically myself, unapologetically myself, that's where my magic comes from and that's where my light comes from. And so it can feel scary to step into that fully because I've never unleashed 100% of who I am. I've always held back a little bit, and so that's what's normal and that's what feels safe and comfortable. But I feel like it's being shown to me in many ways that I can no longer do that. And in doing that, I'd only be doing myself a disservice and everyone else a disservice, not only you guys, but anyone else that may be watching our lives. And yeah, just the example that I want to put out into the world is not that. So I'm happy that I got to share it with all of you and change it moving forward.
And also to remember that if someone is trying to get your attention, it could be anyone. To remember that if someone's trying to get your attention, you always have the choice. Every single one, we have the choice to decide, is this what I want in this now moment? And most of us rush to do whatever the world wants of us, needs of us. And it's so amazing to have that awareness to step back and say, okay, I get it. I'm getting a call from my family. They probably miss me. But right now, is it in my divine alignment to speak to them? That's so powerful.
And when you were sharing, two things came up as insights that I wanted to share back with you. And one was that the reason you picked up that call was also a blessing in disguise from your higher self that showed you how far you've jumped. Otherwise, without comparison, you wouldn't know the magnitude of what has occurred. It's literally showing you, oh my God, I'm this huge, and this timeline was keeping me like a little pebble on this huge tapestry.
Exactly.
And I'm like the whole tapestry. And I'm not even getting started yet. Like I'm just getting started. And I'm here to expand into the full potential of myself. And being here, you can see if this is where you're beginning, that you can't even fit in that timeline you were in a week ago, and you've already jumped so much in 1 week. Imagine what potential lies for you in this timeline in a year, in 2 years, however long it needs to be. And the second insight that I wanted to share was about boundaries. Be fiercely protective of your boundaries, because the more you rise in your light, the more the souls that are watching from afar crave that light. But it's the highest service you can do to yourself. It's not about service to humanity. The highest service you can do is to be protective of that light and let it be nurturing of that light, and that way it can be the brightest light possible.
Thank you. Yeah. Resonates.